The Soy is one of the most convenient places to live on this planet. You don't need a motorbike, you can stay in the middle of the road and you have 30 food options in front of you, unlimited gym access, unlimited massages and recovery-based places. You've also got now at the bottom of the road a big massive supermarket at Robinson's Mall. A lot of people, they'll book the flight, they'll come over and they'll just stay on the street. Then you've got the fighter, so you've got everything from a 1 week stay to a 3 month, 6 month stay. The longer that you're here, you know, the easier it is to stay, the harder it is to leave, right? Outside of the fight world, if you are fighting, you can relax. You haven't got external stresses at home getting to you. So this is why fighters can come here and level up.
Okay, we're live. We're back with Jay Patto. He's making a big return here. As you saw in the intro, this is going to be an absolutely insane podcast. So many golden nuggets. I mean, how the hell did you lose 20 plus kg in less than 6 months? We're going to get all into that. But first, we want to take a step back and discuss a little bit about the past year. What have you been doing since the last time you came on the podcast? That podcast blew up. But you go check it out. It's all about, it's a little jaily. Let's use that. Is that a term? It's a bit jaily. Yeah. But it's a great story and what drove him to coming to Thailand and getting into coaching and coaching elite athletes. Now, let's take a step back. Jay, just let us know, what have you been doing since the last time you were on the podcast about a year ago? Yeah.
So first of all, hello. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Yeah. So I think it's been about 15 months since I seen you last. And it's been a crazy 15 months. It's been really good. So, yeah, I come here last year, just before I turned 29, I believe, 28 I was. I was about 6 months into the head of fitness role at Tiger Muay Thai, which has been now almost 20 months, just approaching 2 years. And yeah, so from a coach's perspective, from a career perspective in the last year, it's just went from strength to strength. You know, inside the last 18 months, I believe I've taken about 10, 12 working days off of work. I'm being absolutely relentless with 6 a.m. starts, 7, 8 a.m. finishes. I'm pretty much non-stop on that gym floor. Inside that time, we've moved forward with our team, our fitness team at Tiger Muay Thai. Hired a few new coaches, had a few interns in, and we're really starting to make steps as a team and as a unit moving forward, which is really, really nice. I brought in Coach Mike alongside me. But additionally, in the last 6 months or so now, I've been working with pretty much nothing but fighters, some elite fighters. The last 6 months or so, I've worked, I think, 5 or 6 world champions in various different sports, different organizations. And it's been ultra successful. Even this morning, 2 days ago, it's low season, right? We're talking about it just before. It's approaching June. We had 32 fighters on the gym floor. That was in the private class, invitation only. In the public class, we got like 15, 16. And it shows that, you know, the public classes are getting low, but word of mouth with the fighters is really starting to catch on. And I believe we made significant steps every 3 to 6 months. But I also believe because of that, as a result of that, the traction behind all the fighters, they're starting to grow together and they're really starting to work together. In the world of fitness at Tiger Muay Thai, I believe the fitness connects the Muay Thai and the MMA area together. So again, we got so many different athletes with different disciplines, different backgrounds, different cultures, different languages, all coming together. And it's genuinely like one of the best things I've ever envisioned come to fruition. You know, I've worked extremely hard since I got in this position with the respects of people who were there in the past. You know, I said this a year ago, and I'm proud to say this again. I'm still a baby in this industry. I'm still very, very, very young. I just turned 30 a few days ago. And yeah, that relentless work has really started to pay off. And moving forward, I think in terms of like fitness and athletes, I can see, you know, some big changes coming, but also building off what we've laid.
But you're head of fitness. Are you coordinating and scheduling everything from S&C to boxing? What does that responsibility entail?
I literally oversee anything that's to do with fitness in Tiger Muay Thai. So I'll oversee all of the classes, how the schedule runs, making sure that, you know, All levels classes are taken care of. The fighters are taken care of. But also we have CrossFit. We have a really good class with Coach Coy, glutes and mobility. That's really aimed at, it's a booty class. It's aimed for our women who are coming to the gym. Even now in low season, Coy is very, very busy. The class is busy. The schedule is good. I also oversee the weight loss package. We've had multiple people lose 20, 30 plus kilos in the weight loss package in the last year. Additional to that, I oversee all of the nutrition for the diet, for the fighters. I do all the diets, all the weight cuts. I've had 33 weight cuts consecutively in 15 months, which I'm really proud of because I come from a bodybuilding background. My old concept used to be less fat, more muscle. So transition the last 3 years, 4 years into S&C has been difficult, but because of that background and the fat loss background, it's really assisted me now. So overseeing all things fitness, nutrition, training, and lifestyle when it comes to Tiger Muay Thai.
That's got to be a lot of admin work, a lot of a lot of pressure to be having that level of responsibility for that level of athlete, those professional athletes. I mean, you sit down with one fighter, you're creating a custom nutrition plan for that guy. It does not just involve, hey, let's have this little conversation. You got to dig deep into their life. How much work goes behind that?
So much work. So look, I've been in the fitness industry for over 10 years now. Actually just under 10 years, I say that. Inside of that time, again, I've worked like a maniac. I'm obsessed. So early on in my career, I was working with a lot of different athletes, different backgrounds, and on myself. And I was very fortunate to work around the world for the world's leading luxury hotel brand, Six Senses. And they taught me this emotional hospitality. And inside of working for that brand, I was able to capture what they were doing with some of the most powerful people on this planet. And I was able to translate that into elite fighters. And yeah, especially for the big guys, we have to really, really sit down and look at every nut and crack and make sure that everything's taken care of because they're in the 1% game, right? If we can make 1% better here, 1% better here, 1% better here and here, it all comes together to create that beautiful picture.
Are you doing like blood work on them? How much data, like what's going into this?
Yeah, we're trying to track everything. So you can only manage what you measure, right? Each athlete's going to come in at different points. Again, with the background, you're going to have different injuries and different points in the camp. It's also being very, very versatile and being a bit like a chameleon. You've got to be able to adapt to the individual that's in front of you. And look, people will probably see this. I don't exactly speak English, so I've had to learn how to adapt my coaching style, my accent, and all these things to make sure, if I'm working with like Anatoly, for instance, I work with him a few times around Christmas, New Year. It's a lot of hand signals. I'm gesturing a lot more than I'm explaining. But, I really like to think that, for the top coach, they need to bring the energy first. And if you bring in good energy, max with a few different things, people are going to come back,
Well, I mean, Anatoly's working with John Boy, and if he can understand him, I think he can, he can understand anyone. But I mean, Bisbin also from Liverpool. You're Liverpool, right?
Yeah.
Bisbin? No, he's Manchester.
Bisbin's Manchester.
But the same thing, he had to change his accent for American television because there was a certain point in terms of slang, even the culture side, bringing that in. Yeah. Americans won't understand it, and people that are not native to that area are just, it's another level. Yeah,
I think when you look out Thailand as a whole, it's so culturally diverse. It is incredible. And if I'm explaining exercises or movements to people in Liverpool or London at 5 p.m., that's okay. You can get away with things. Here, you've got audio, visual, kinesthetic learning, descriptive. So we've got to make sure that all these things are ticked. I like to make a joke at the start of class. If I see new faces, I'll say, guys, hands up if you can understand what I'm saying. So 50% of the room will put their hands up and then everyone else looks at each other. So now I know that I need to be a lot more animated in what I'm trying to do. Otherwise, it just gets lost in translation. And, something again I'm really proud of, myself and the team at the moment, between mid-December and mid-March, 100 people every class, every single class. Sometimes 50% of the room.
For the S&C or the HIT classes?
For the so we can have around 30 fighters, 3 days a week. But then the combat S&C public classes at 9:30. Yeah, 100 doing the conditioning classes and like 80, 90 doing the strength classes.
What's changed over the past year? Are you modifying the classes? You're changing the programs?
Yeah, changing everything. You know, again, you can only manage what you measure, right? And if you measure stuff, you can adapt and evolve and move forward. I think it's really, really important that you always look back over your shoulder to see where you're going, where you've come from. So this way you can move forward a lot more efficiently. You know, I think the harder that you work, you can sometimes fall over your own 2 feet. I'm lucky that I've got a good team around me and that we do change stuff. What's really, really important is that it doesn't get repetitive. In an S&C world, we want to go on a bit of a pendulum. You know, we learn, we build, we blitz movements, and then we reset. This is good for athletes, but it's also good for, you know, keeping that culture fresh inside of the gym.
Yeah, if you got like long-term people training, even someone like myself that's not an athlete, maybe you do 10, 12 weeks straight of S&C or a HIIT class. Are you then changing the whole program every 10 weeks or like how diverse does that get?
Yeah, more so every 6 weeks and then every 3 weeks inside of it. So myself and Michael sit down and look at the overall program and the public classes and the S&C classes for the private fighters. So then we'll program all the movements to make sure everything fits in. And we go in 3 week blocks, again, to make sure that the body's still adapting and evolving, but also boredom. You know, we got a lot of hobbyists in class, a lot of people who are there for lifestyle. When you look at people in the gym, I like to have a little bit of a timeline almost. A lot of people in the gym are going to be here for 3 reasons: lifestyle, professionalism, or athlete. So we've got to then give a class based on who's in front of us. And some people are here for lifestyle, they're here for social, they're here for some fun. So I'm not going to stand over them screaming at them to make sure they do more reps. I'm going to meet them where they're at. I'm going to give them that energy. Similarly, if I've got someone who's here and they're a rugby player back home, they're here to work hard, but also transfer the skills back home. I'm going to push them a bit more. If you're an athlete, you're working with me and you're fighting in the next 4 to 6 weeks, it's Groundhog Day. We're on top of you. And I've got to devise a class, and we've got to put a class out there in which you've got your everyday hobbyist who's just walked over the door, and Petayan, who's doing backflips between sets. And I got to try and make sure that these 2 people can get something from it. They leave happy. They leave the end product of the class. Final thing I'll talk on this is I got from a coach's perspective, anyone who wants to do good in the fitness industry, I believe there's 4 E's that you need to look at. First of all, energy. Bring the energy, bring the entertainment. If you bring that energy first, people are going to love it and come back. Doesn't matter how good of a coach you are, energy first. Then you go through entertainment. Okay, can I entertain these people in front of me? Because if you give people good energy and entertainment, they're going to come back even deeper. The third part then is education. Once people are entertained, it's much easier to educate. And again, if they're going to be educated, they're going to come back for more of this type of thing. And the final thing with every class or every PT, end product. If I'm doing conditioning, are they tired and fatigued at the end of it? If we're doing strength, did we get lifts? If we're doing max effort, if we're doing mobility, do we feel the end product? If you bring energy with good entertainment, education, and end product, I promise you, then customers and clients are always going to come back. This is where I have absolutely worked my entire fitness career inside of Tiger to make sure that recipe comes good.
When did you discover that formula?
I'd say I think I've been doing it for about 2 years, 3 years, but putting it into the context I just done, probably like 6 to 8 months ago, I realized if it's delivered in this way, it's almost like foolproof. People always come back, you know? I always start with energy. Energy is the most important thing in the room, right? Like, you can have a wonderful piece of paper, but if the other people can't feed off that energy, you know, it's likelihood that the class size is going to come down, retention is going to get less. So it's, for me, being holistic with the approach, but also that emotional hospitality on a personal level, but also on a class level as well is vital.
Yeah, and I think that philosophy, that way of thinking as well, is probably what driven you to lose those 20 kgs in that short amount of time. We're going to get to that too. I know you're all holding on to your seats. Like, how is that even possible? I mean, I'm holding on to my seats. My own seat, I don't even know yet. Before we do that, jumping into the transformation of Tiger Muay Thai. John Boy's been on the podcast. He says it's changing as a culture as well. He's bringing this whole boxing community. Let's talk about the professional UFC athletes. Is this predominantly Russian now? How is the floor changing from that perspective?
Oh man, it's like in the last year, basically a year now at the end of May, early June, we've went from strength to strength. You know, we eliminated any egos in the gym. And as a result from that, you know, first of all, myself and Johnny, me and Johnny have become very good friends, very good work colleagues. I owe a lot to Johnny. John Boy has been such a significant factor in my life. He's introduced me to a lot of these elite athletes. And, you know, I think a few people were on the fence at the start, but when they come to work with me to see how much effort I put in, they do tend to come back. Additionally, from John Boy and the amazing work he's done, you know, he works with top athletes, and everyone loves John Boy, man. John Boy is a pinnacle point of that gym. You know, he's a role model to a lot of people in that gym. We've also got Johnny Betts, who's doing a lot of work with, you know, the Muay Thai at the moment. Every other week, I think John Boy said something like this: we literally have a world-class athlete every other Friday. We got one fighting tomorrow. Every other Friday coming out to the Muay Thai. Felipe Lobo we've spoken about. We've also got, I just got into camp with Fabricio.
Yep.
Fabricio is an amazing athlete, wonder boy. Still so young, you know, so much fire in his heart, so much energy. And, you know, there's a lot of people I've worked with. I mentioned Brendan, I mentioned other people. We got so many elite athletes coming in, and the sparring there is incredible. It's incredibly versatile, the amount of different bodies we've got, different heights, different weights. But in relation to you saying the Russian boys, it's interesting. These Russian boys, as like a well-rounded athlete, they can do everything. And as we know, MMA, if you're good at wrestling, you can dominate most areas, right? A lot of the people, we got a few Aussie boys come over now who've got fights at home. They come here to fight with the Russian boys because they know that the sparring here is top level, you know?
Are they with them on the striking side, or is it more the wrestling side?
Oh, it's interesting. Again, when it comes to wrestling only, you know, the Russian boys are next level.
Yeah.
And, you know, I got 17, 18-year-old boys picking me up and throwing me around for fun. It's very humbling, very humbling. And it's also good to see that the other fighters, that kind of happens to them. But then, you know, if you got a jiu-jitsu guy, they can start to play in their world. If you got a striker, you can defend takedowns, it changes. But what I notice is the Russian boys in the wrestling, they dominate the wrestling. And it all changes then, dependent. It's so multifaceted, MMA.
How do they all adapt to living on the soil? I mean, this is constantly blowing up in terms of food, fitness, rehabilitation, you know, a massage therapist, you name it. Even Float Indigo's down there if you want to check that out. Everyone's living on the soil. They're all dialed into pretty much this one street of less than a kilometer long.
Yeah.
Even yourself, how do you find yourself living in this area? Can you describe it for us? What's the lifestyle like?
Well, so I think you got a couple of different perspectives there, right? So let's start with the everyday hobbyist who's coming into the gym. You know, the soy, we were saying just before, is one of the most convenient places to live on this planet. You don't need a motorbike. You can stay in the middle of the road and you have 30 food options in front of you, unlimited gym access, unlimited massages and recovery-based places. You've also got now at the bottom of the road a big, massive supermarket, a Robinson's Mall. A lot of people, they'll book the flight, they'll come over, and they'll just stay on the street. One of my clients, he was like, "Coach, I'm going to go away this weekend." And by that, he said that he's going to leave the street. He's literally lived on the streets for 4 weeks, and he loves it. Then you've got the fighter. So you've got everything from a 1 week stay to a 3 month, 6 month stay. Again, the world of a fighter, it's cost efficient, right? It doesn't cost too much. A lot of the fighters, they'll come in on at a higher level, or, you know, they're working their way up. They'll get a deal in the gym. And again, because of the convenience of it, they know that, especially with Tiger Muay Thai, they'll come to me, do S&C, 9:30, 10:30. Then they'll go to John Boy's class, 10:30, 11. We'll get them to rest, they do what they need. And Muay Thai athletes maybe do some private pads later in the evening. the longer that you're here, you know, the easier it is to stay, the harder it is to leave, right? Like, once you realize how convenient it is here, and also like outside of the fight world, if you are fighting, you can relax. You haven't got external stresses at home getting to you. So this is why fighters can come here and level up, you know.
I don't think they have time to. It's time efficient there. Your hotel to the gym to eating food, it can all be within 100 meters.
Yeah.
Compared to let's say fighters that are like training at, I don't know, let's say a Team Alpha Male in California.
Yeah.
You're living in a house. It's expensive living there. You're driving 20 minutes, and then you're going to eat somewhere. You lose so much time every day. Here, in terms of time optimization, is probably why they can get ahead so fast.
Yeah.
They can spend so much more time on training.
Yeah.
With that in mind, though, that can lead to overtraining. Do you see that in athletes, or where you have to pull back the reins?
Absolutely. Every single day. So, like, I spend half of my time saying to fighters listening up, more isn't better. Better is better, right? Fear not the man who's practiced 10,000 kicks. Fear the man who's practiced 10,000 kicks. One kick, 10,000 fine.
Yeah.
I butchered that a little bit.
That's okay.
You know where we're going,
Yeah,
right? Yeah, absolutely. Everything from overtraining in the session to overtraining for the week. I think of a guy, and we'll go back to this soon because he's really important to talk about for a few seconds, but some of the fighters, we have a system in place, and I say to them on the whiteboard, rest, here is rest. Like, guys, who knows what rest is? And they're all like, coach, what's rest? I don't know. So I have to get them to either do a bit of mobility and adjust things for them inside the session to get them relaxed, because they just don't understand the concept of especially in S&C, if I rest now, I can produce more power later. And rest is vital for so many reasons, whether it's between the session or between the reps. But trying to get that to them is one of the most difficult things. These fighters think for themselves, right? That a lot of them are strong-minded people, and they think sometimes like rest is weak. So now I'm working with so many fighters over the last 3 weeks and the 3 weeks coming who will all hit weight, and I manage the schedule. They come in, first of all, so we always start with training and make sure the training schedule is adequate and they've got options to scale up or scale down, and I give them points to rest. Additionally, I try and educate them on how to eat better, especially around sparring days and rest days, how to recover better. It all starts with education. If you can tell them why, they're more likely to do it. But it's just common across the entire board. All the fighters just want to train into the ground.
Yeah, that ego's there. And also that's what drives them. That's their energy.
Yeah.
But what they don't realize is without that rest, you're more prone to getting sick. And then when you get sick, now you can't do anything for a week.
Yeah, the athlete who can't train can't progress, right? Yeah. It's like, that goes back to my bodybuilding days. And now, you know, I coach mobility around the world. I've done this for 10 years, and that's a big thing I've brought into the athletes. A lot of them love that. Also, just, again, taking time out of the week, go take advantage of the cheap saunas, the cheap massages. Go take advantage of how therapeutic Thailand actually can be, right?
Mm-hmm. There's a bit of competition showing up on the road now. You got Apollo next door. These are still two different facilities in a sense. How does the camaraderie work on the soy? Is there tension there? Does everyone get along, or you guys just don't talk?
Oh, it's been a funny year. I kind of have to just like address a couple of things. So, you know, in relation to what I said, I'm a young coach coming in. We had to remove someone from the environment a year ago. And as a result of that, there's been a lot of talk just in the next gym. And the way I see it is there's camaraderie between myself and other gym members and stuff like this. But there's a bit of tension between, you know, a couple of people. But, you know, sometimes people's egos get bruised. And it's a shame to see. But in my perspective, honestly, I focus on myself. I focus on my fighters. And, you know, I am absolutely relentless with what I'm trying to achieve with our group moving forward. So, like, although I can feel some sort of tension towards me, and there's definitely been, I've been on a few stories, let's just say this, you know, people are talking bad about me. That's okay, you know. I'm very, very young here. I'm striving forward every single day. I'm up at 5, I get on the gym floor at 6, I work myself into the floor, I go home, I do more education. I'm working online at the moment. I'm finishing and working online. So there's a bit of a, for me, like bittersweet energy there, you know. In relation to that in particular, a bit of tension. In relation to all the other gyms, not really, you know. I think people can be opinionated on where we're at, whether people can achieve something, whether they're in the right position for that job. I think what it all comes down to is, you know, the customer's happy, are they returning? Is retention good? Is the overall team happy? Do we have unity? And that's what I really focus on. You know, I don't have to I don't have to talk shit about someone else's castle to make my castle look better. My castle is built on an amazing foundation, and it just keeps growing every year. And that's how I sort of see that. You know, I don't focus on stuff that's irrelevant. Yeah,
and I mean more. Not just competition on the soil, but you guys are still building this street together. It's kind of a community. Maybe people that are not familiar with maybe the ethical side or the policy side, is it frowned upon for fighters to, let's say, be at Tiger one day and they're boxing with John Boy and then going next door to box at Apollo? Or is that like, hey, once you go over there, you ain't coming back?
You know what? There's so many different perspectives and opinions. So let's be clear. A lot of the main athletes, they would have been working with the likes of Woody and the guys at Beatdown from 7, 8, 9 years ago. So, you know, stick to what you know. Stay with your team. You know, these coaches are all amazing coaches. All my predecessors, amazing coaches. I look up to them all. In the more of the hobbyist type thing, go do what you want, you know. The way I always see it is you're always welcome to join me. If you feel like you need to go somewhere else, that's fine. When you come into my environment, I will look after you. I think that's very, very important to give that the energy out. But the more we climb the ladder, it changes because, okay, I have a football background. If I play for Liverpool FC, I don't want to be going to train with Everton FC, you know. But that's a team-based sport. This is more of an individual. So different athletes are going to need different coaches for different things. And I respect that. I appreciate it. And yeah, it's one of them things. I would like to see the athlete get what they need to move forward, whether they go to one gym or the other. But a lot of the time, there is gym politics above my head, and I just respect that.
Yeah, I mean, you'll see guys like Fiziev, he'll I think it's because the boys at Beatdown, the relation to Tiger and Fiziev will come over here and do SEC. He'll go back. Brendan Lotnane will go there and back. Even Darren Till, there and back. Some things it's like, okay, it's allowed. But there has to be, like, for example, a guy like Peter Yang, he probably will not come to Beatdown because he's established himself with John Boy there. Yeah. So to kind of paint that picture, is it more custom to the individual of, like, what you should and should not be doing?
Yeah, and look, the higher up you are, the more choices you got, right?
Yeah.
If you're, for example, if you've just joined our Tiger Muay Thai team, you're on the Muay Thai team, you're working with Johnny Betts, I'm pretty sure if he sees you go somewhere else, he's going to tell you off, you know? But, you know, the likes of Rafa, who's worked with other coaches for years, respect it, man. Yeah, like, he's been such a success because of that. If it's not broke, don't fix it, right? Stick to it, and we respect that. They respect that. It's from the coaches. It's pretty much mutually respected.
Well, that's a great thing to have this world-class level of facilities, but having options, having your Beatdown, having AKA, Apollo, Tiger Muay Thai that's been around forever. What that does, in my opinion, when you're driving the professional athletes here, you've given them more options. So they're not just like, yeah, I want to go to Tiger, but maybe they don't have this. You're driving people here because now you've given so many options out there. I think it's a great thing, to be honest.
It's the reverse psychology, isn't it? It's like, come, all mine. It's like, no, here's good, go everywhere else. If you like it here, you'll come back here type thing. And, you know, if your product's good, you're confident in your product, you know that you can give that leeway and people come back. The last thing you want to do is give fighters ultimatums. You have to train with me. You cannot train here. These fighters are literally built to go, no. So that'll kind of have the adverse effect, you know. You end up working with less people. So I'm an open book. If people want to come work, they can.
To touch on the differences of facilities and levels of quality, yeah, we can put your Tigers and your Beatdowns and Apollos up and coming. But then you got your places like, how does your industry, specifically in Phuket, from that world, view AKA with Mike Swick in Thailand, do you view that as it's a top athlete performance center, or is it more built for the professional that's looking to kind of biohack a bit?
Yeah,
like, are they kind of doing their own thing?
You know what, like the likes of AKA, I've been to the gym and stuff like this. I don't know too much about it. Again, like I really just focus on my own lane.
Yeah.
So in relation to that, we see them at the Muay Thai events, the local Muay Thai events. Don't see too much in like the one championships. In my opinion, it's like Tiger and Bang Tao. Tiger's the original, right? So it's been there over 20 years. You got Tiger, and then some of the original coaches went to Bang Tao. That's where like the heat of everything is. And then you've got other gyms like Southside, Apollo.
Right, correct. Southside,
these ones. AKA is another one, which again, they're doing their own thing, especially Mike Swig. I don't know too much about him, but I know he's a bit of a cool dude, right? I know he's... yeah,
he's been on here. He's a great guy, yeah.
Yeah, he's a good guy. He's got a good mindset. He's an ex-fighter and stuff like this. So I see what they're doing, but I don't know too much about it, to be completely honest.
They've done a lot of development on the facility side. Like they built a basketball. It looks kind of cool. Interesting. Yeah. When you're living up here, it's a bit different. Like, I'm more likely to go to Krabi than for me to go to Chalong.
Yeah.
Just because, to be honest, like places, let's say like Khao Lak, for me, it's only an hour and 20 minutes. I mean, Chalong's 45. So for us to leave these little bubbles, it's difficult. That's probably why you don't run into people so often.
Yeah.
And with the traffic now, especially high season, you probably weren't getting off, or you probably weren't leaving your bubble too much either.
Yeah, just like a couple of things. So go back to something you said before. I personally moved myself closer to the gym. Yep. You know, I'm very fortunate to have different people helping me out between the gym. So my house is here. The gym's 4 minutes away. Between that, I have 3-4 restaurants I eat. My supplements place, Gorilla Supplements. I also got like Avocado Cafe. They look after me, and everything else is just. I live 5 minutes away from home. Look, I don't deal with any traffic ever. Yeah, I know that I can be on the gym floor within 4 or 5 minutes every time. The more convenient the life is, the more easy it is to stay. Right, and you're right. You use the word bubble. I'm in a little bubble. Everything's 2 kilometers and stress-free, you know. I know it's a very nice lifestyle. Additionally, in high season now, we got fighters traveling less. On a motorbike, it can be an hour. On a car, it can be 90 minutes one way.
And dangerous, too.
Yeah, exactly.
You see fighters, they come here for 3-4 weeks, you have a little scrape. And cuts in Thailand do not heal fast because of the humidity. It's a nightmare. Yeah. So, I mean, you don't want that extra risk.
Exactly that, man. Like, I was saying to one of the athletes recently, look, that's... say 2 hours a day. That 2 hours a day is going to turn 3 days a week. There's 6 hours a week. You know, at the end of the month, there's close to 24 hours. You could just be resting, man. You could also be watching tape. You could be getting a massage. You'd be doing so many other things. And that's just nothing but time, especially in high season. I think it took me today 35 minutes in the car, which is...
That's not bad.
Yeah, it was impressive. I wasn't expecting it, but time of year really shifts, right?
Yeah, I mean, as we're going into the low season, things are calming down. I think a lot of people, the schools and these international schools, the parents go back, the kids go back to Europe, and I like the rainy season. It cools down a bit. Let's jump into the meat and potatoes while everyone's watching. You're hitting 97 kg. I mean, I've been there. We even had this talk, you know, and maybe coming back later again to make my fat ass lose 20 kg. I'm happy with 5 to 10. Walk us through, how did you even put on that much weight and then in 6 months lose it all? The entire process, the workout regimen, the sleep, the supplements. Let us know everything. Yeah. Open up the box.
Yeah, let's do it. Okay, so, you know, what I would like to say with this, whilst I've done this, I've had a female client do the exact same thing next to me. She's lost 18 kilos in 5 months. So this is not something I'm just demonstrating on myself. It's also others as well. First of all, I've always been interested in shifting my body. When I was very younger, I used to go on holiday with guys who were much older than me, but I wanted to be in shape. So I used to like work harder. That eventually got me into bodybuilding. And fast forward 10 years, just before I come on your podcast, I was the Thailand national bodybuilding champion, men's physique with PCA. So I just come on your podcast a few months later. I was about 88, 90 kilos when I come on your podcast last time. I was a bit more of a big boy. And I remember saying, I'm going to get big, I'm going to get strong. And you know, I did exactly what I said I would. So come on your podcast, May, in June, we done Tiger tryouts. Between June and August, I went like ham, or as hard as I could possibly, on eating and training and just trying to get big, trying to be one of the big boys, trying to get as big as possible, eating all the calories in sight, ice cream for dinner, going out, always having a dessert, all of these things, enjoying the finer things in life. That being said, I still was active. I'm very active. I really haven't taken any time off in 2 years. So from 6 a.m. till 7, 8 p.m., always working, always active. So I didn't realize the weight coming on. So what happened was me and my girlfriend, we went to Krabi and we went up the big...
Dragon back? Dragon something.
Yeah, this one with the
It's a
steps.
proper height, 4 hours.
Yeah, this one. No, sorry. It's a different one there, my fault. The one where you go to the top and the big Buddha's there. I forget its name. It's
Tiger
this
Cave,
one.
Tiger Nest, Tiger something.
Something like this.
Okay.
Big Buddha on the top.
Yeah.
Took me like 24 minutes to get to the top of the stairs. So there's 2 points to this story. I get to the top of the stairs and I am gassed. Like, this monk follows me up the stairs, right? He comes to the top of the stairs and he clicks his watch and he says to me, "How long take you?" And I say, 22 minutes, and I'm out of breath. I'm 29 at this point. And he says to me, "I'm 64. I do it in 23 minutes. And he looked at me, smiled, and walked away. It took me another 5 minutes of trying to get my breath back. Me and my girlfriend put our shoes down. We walk around the back. And she takes this photo of me. And I feel like I need to show you the photo. We'll show it later, right? And I see this photo when we get down the stairs. I'm just like, fuck this. Like, it hurt me because I'd never been overweight, you know? And seeing it, I didn't look like I'd ever looked before. I was 97, 98 kilos. I was a big boy. And it really put it into perspective. Physically, but also visually as well. I think when I seen the visual, it smacked me in the stomach. So I messaged my bodybuilding coach, Nick, and I said to Nick, "How long until the show?" He said, "You got 70 days from this point." I'm 97 kilos, and I'm like, okay, let's fucking go. Let's go. So I know what that entails. That entails me getting up 4:30 a.m., hitting the bike, 5 till 6 a.m., going home, eating, like, everything's dialed in. Nutrition, hydration, supplements, all of this. So how my day would look would be, finish that in the morning, get ready, be back on the gym floor for 7, work back to back, PT, fighters, combat, public classes, nutrition consultations, 5 hours. I'll normally finish, do a bit of training, and then go back to work. So I'll go back to work, normally at like 3 till like 6, 7. Then when I finish, back on the assault bike, another 45 minutes, whatever it's needed. The reality is an extreme training will produce an extreme result. So an extreme diet will produce an extreme result. Extreme recovery will produce an extreme result. Every single week, I basically stepped it up. 30 minutes extra here, more reps here, etc., etc. I was working with my mentor, my very good friend, Alex Defina. I don't know if you know Alex Defina. Alex Defina is like, I couldn't really go into how much he's helped me over the last few years. I would not be here without him. He was an Australian powerlifting champion 10, 12 years ago, set a record there. And he's really been my rock for the last few years in terms
He's in Thailand.
He's here, yeah. He's probably good to have on here, to be honest with you. He's super interesting guy. So he was helping me, guiding me through it from the training perspective, helping me with Nick as well. And he's meeting me every day, Groundhog Day, pushing me to my limit. So this guy's like 110 kilos with abs. Like, Alex is a freak of nature type guy. Also an elite mentality, and being around him really, really helped. When I'm getting a little bit weak, I can communicate with him. Same as Nick, I got this like small team almost. So 70 days, man. Every single week stepping it up. And every 30 minutes to an hour, there's something I need to do. I need to take a supplement. I need to drink this. I need to do this because, you know, you can only manage what you measure. You know, I am measuring every single detail. Every 4 days, sending photos over to Nick and stepping it up. You can start to see change after about 6 weeks. What I done in 6 weeks people would do in about 6 months. So the amount of recovery I was doing, the amount of stretching I was doing, the amount of The amount of time just putting into everything, getting my body as working as one whole organism to move in one direction.
Was it mostly so cardio in terms of the assault bike in the morning and evening? Or are you lifting weights? Are you doing HIIT classes?
Yeah, so to get the fat off, I'm working my heart rate at around 60-70%, around zone 2 to be specific. And I'm doing that for around 90 minutes a day. Normally I do an hour in the morning and then around an hour, but at the end, around 30 minutes, but at the end in the evening, sometimes 2 hours a day.
Assault bike in the morning.
Yeah, assault bike.
What's
5 a.m.
what's the RPM you're going at?
For me, yeah, I'm holding around 50 RPM, 50 to 55.
Okay, so that's not too crazy.
No,
I find like 70 is
yeah.
Like
okay,
so and you do that for 45?
So I normally do that for an hour in the morning.
Well, that's manageable.
Yeah.
50 is manageable.
It's always manageable, but what you've got is 7 days a week, no rests, 5 to 6 a.m. every single day. That's when anyone can do the first 2-3 weeks and stuff. When it becomes monotonous, and so what happens is, okay, why we're doing this? We're doing this to burn fat. Specifically, we're trying to shrink our fat cells. Okay, if we're trying to shrink our fat cells, we've got to work at a certain rate. You've got to also understand that if I blow too hard the rest of the day is going to be tough. Training's going to be tough later on. So it's about setting a pace in which you can consistently step forward. Stimulate, not annihilate, is what we use. So what we're trying to do is make this much progress every single time we do it. What gets hard then is when your fat cells become so low and shrink so much, you haven't got no energy. You were using that fat as energy, right? So now all of a sudden, the last 3 weeks or so, I come in, I got grown out face, I got no fat left on my body, and I'm like slowly pushing to get to 50 RPM. The last couple of weeks, like, it's so hard for me to get through it. But that's where the fight is, right? That's where are you made for this, you know? I think Goggins says the last mile is always the loneliest. And that last 2-3 weeks, I call it unhealth zone. I got no fat left. I'm exhausted. I'm just pushing through, and I'm really trying to get the most from every single session. Additionally, you know, I'm training with the powerlifter Alex every single day. Is you know, typical bodybuilding stuff back then. With squats, deadlifts. Deadlifts come out towards the end of the program, but towards the start, building mass, building size.
Are you doing like heavy lifting, low reps, long breaks?
At the start, yeah, and then we start to shift. Bodybuilding has similar crossovers to S&C, but the time frames are a little bit different. Rest periods. In bodybuilding, what your trainer is training for is muscular hypertrophy. As a result of that, as a byproduct, you get strength. Yeah. In the other world, you're training for muscular strength. As a byproduct of that, you get hypertrophy. So it's changing the emphasis of what's happening, right? So yeah, doing a bit of HIIT work, a lot of weights, and also just making sure the diet is dialed in to the gram, protein, calorie, fats, carbs.
That's the secret sauce.
Timing,
so are you doing any diet suppressant peptides?
In terms of the diet suppressant peptides, no. I'm taking a few things to assist. You know, in the bodybuilding world, you've got to use the same tools as everybody else, right? Yeah. The problem, or not so problem, depending on how you look at it, is there's no rules in bodybuilding.
Are you able to open your toolbox of supplements and what's in there?
Yeah, I can do that. Yeah, let's do that. So look, again, the toolbox of supplements, if you look at any pro bodybuilder or anyone who's trying to do well inside of bodybuilding, a lot of them are taking testosterone, okay? So they're going to be taking some form of testosterone, and that's going to be like fast-acting or slow-acting testosterone, depending on
we're using Test E, Test P, Test C.
Exactly. So for me, at the start, I believe on this one, I was using Test SIP, slow-acting, and then I was going into Test E, closer through. Additionally, there's a few other things that we have in here, like propionate, and we're also taking like clenbuterol, like
pill form.
Exactly. So this is another thing I'm getting at. So I'm waking up at 4:30 a.m. taking clenbuterol, going to train, and this is another thing. There's all these additional things. Like get on the bike at the start's easy, but when I start layering these other things on top of it, it becomes difficult, right?
Yeah, I've tried Clen. I lasted 3 days. I felt sick.
Look, I'm sat here absolutely pouring with
that's
sweat.
The thing. Like, I would do a HIIT class with Clen. I stopped it right away.
Yeah.
And I felt like I was going to have a heart attack. Yeah. Your whole body heats up, And all it's doing is just getting your heart rate going, and I was soaking wet. I get what it's doing, but I felt like, to be honest, I felt like I did a line.
Yeah,
I'm telling you right now. Dude, I took, and it was the first time, and I took like a quarter of one.
Yeah.
And I took it in the class, and I took it too soon before it started, and I'm looking at like Sam and Woody. I'm like, if you don't fucking start this class right now, I'm gonna I'm gonna jump out of this. Like, and I just didn't like the feeling. The test, I do TRT now. I do it, but low dose. I'm doing like
200.
No. Like per week, I was doing 180, and now I did my blood work. I was 1200. I brought it down.
Yeah.
I did the blood work with this girl, and she's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, 180. She's like, "You're 1200." I'm like, "Fuck, really?" Just two injections a week, total 180.
Stop, yeah.
She's like, "Go down to 120." Now I'm at like 900, 800.
Yeah.
What were you doing, around 200 per week?
No is the answer. I was doing a lot more.
Okay.
Again, like.
But you don't get like water retention, and you're not holding weight from that?
I think it's the way your body's going to respond. I honestly think it's, if you put these things in your body and then you're able to do the work, push it out to the body, I think you get less of the side effects. This is my opinion and my personal. What I also find is that people put these people put these supplements, special supplements in the body, and they don't exert. And then they've got this build-up of tension, and this can come out on spots, this can come out in aggression, you know. A lot of these supplements are going to increase what we perceive to be manly. Bigger beard, faster nails, you know, sexual drive, these type of things. And sometimes if you're a bit of an arsehole, guess what's going to happen? You're going to be more of an arsehole, right? But in my opinion, if you are working through and pushing everything through, you get less of the side effects. And yeah, it's like... you got to be really careful of what you're putting in your body, and are you mentally strong enough to cope with this stuff? Like, it's going to change how you think. It's going to change how your body reacts, you know? It's going to change how you sleep. It's going to change how you perform, how you approach things, and you've just got to know that. I've said to people, like, do not do this. This is not good for you.
Well, were you touching Trembling?
I've had to go Trembling.
Right now or a long time ago? No.
So since I literally stopped the bodybuilding show, so... just like talking into that. So what had happened was about 3-4 weeks before this bodybuilding show, I was like, fuck this. I'm never doing this again. Here's why. I'm a skinny man, right? You can see how skinny I am. I was a footballer growing up. I'd done a few other things and rated to athleticism. The only reason why I got into bodybuilding was because I was so insecure and I was so skinny, I was getting pushed off the ball. Fast forward 10 years, guess what? I'm not insecure no more. I'm comfortable inside my own skin. And because of the subject, you know, it's a taboo subject. Not many people talk on this. Because of the subject, I knew I was being detrimental to my health long term. And I knew that I was approaching my 30s. I was still 28, 29. And I took a good look around. When I was overweight, my body was telling me all sorts. You need to stop doing this. My knees started to hurt. All of these things. I also know, you know, being overweight, just general, it's not good for you, but putting all these special supplements inside of you, trying to chase that into my 30s is not good. So there and then, I just made the decision. You know, I'd done 15 bodybuilding shows. I'd won one. And I said to myself, I will not stop until I win one. I put my heart and soul into winning that one. I was like, I'm done. So I'd done this bodybuilding show. I think I come second in Phuket and third in Thailand in the categories that I'd done. You know, I achieved something. Even by my point then, I was like, fuck, I still achieved it. At that point, I was taking Trembling towards the end. I had to put the last like 4 weeks, 3-4 weeks, I can never recall. So you got to understand, like, I got all these athletes, all these fighters, all this work, all this responsibility. I'm waking up at 4:34 to get into, I'm passing out at 9 o'clock at night. I'm taking a lot of drugs. Yeah, I'm taking all the special supplements for bodybuilding. But it never affected my work. It never affected I was always punctual. I was always on time. Because regardless of what I've decided to do in my personal life, them athletes need me, these customers need me, and I need to give the energy for these individuals. And this is something, like I always say, like, the show goes on. Regardless of what's happened to me, the show goes on. I managed to finish that show, and calculated as everything was, I had a few days where I enjoyed, party, whatever. There and then, I was 97, 98 kilos to do that 70-day bodybuilding show. Again, extreme measure, produced an extreme result. I lost 12, 13 kilos. On the Saturday, I competed at 85 kilo. On the Sunday, I lost a bit more. It was a bit drier. I think it was just on 84. So then, look, you leave that point. A lot of bodybuilders now, they're going to what we call rebound, okay? Because you've just spent 3 months dieting down. It's been very, very hard. A lot of bodybuilders rebound up. I done the complete opposite. I come off every single thing that I was taking, and I've not taken anything since. It's been about 5 months from that now.
Holy shit.
Zero. I don't take anything except for your amazing supplements, which we'll talk about soon, because they've helped me so much over the last 6 months. And also everything. I just needed the complete reboot in life. I needed to shake off everything.
So you're not doing any TRT?
Absolutely
now?
nothing.
Zero. Did you have to do like a PCT? Like
yeah. So I had to come off and yeah, there's a right and a wrong way of doing this, right?
Yeah.
I needed to, first of all, let the stuff come out, do the correct PCT, and then I came off everything in, the end of December, so like 3 weeks later, 4 weeks later, into January. So my PCT, what I done in the past, especially going into January, it's like, I don't want to do this anymore. Look, I'll say this out loud, putting needles in my ass is something I fucking hated. I hated it every single time, and I never want to do it again. Yeah. That being said, for the right individual, if you past a certain age, you can feel your testosterone's dropping and you get your blood work done. For the right individual, it's needed. I'm 30. I feel great. And I knew that I was about to go and do something that I hadn't really seen done before. And to do that, I had to come off everything. So I go from a bodybuilding lifestyle to living, breathing, thinking like a fighter. So I lose another 10 kilos or so, and I come down to fight. So the next 3 months from mid-December, really, funny story, I actually covered in fake tan. The next day, because I was done, I went to wrestle with Coach Joseph. Joseph's left of now, but I went to wrestle with Joseph, and he just laughed at me. I come to all these these fighters. It's busy in the gym, and I'm covered in bright orange tan, and I'm trying to wrestle with them. You know what? Like, sometimes you've just got to brace and walk through the fire, you know? So I get into it. All the guys are beating me up. Very fortunate with my position is that I can work with higher level guys, and the nicer ones are going to meet me where I'm at. Some of them might not like me so much, so they beat me up, you know? But honestly, Brendan, from January, February, March, live like a fighter. Probably more so than some fighters because of my position. I'm very lucky to. I wake up in the morning, I do a couple of classes. Then I finish my class, I go straight to John Boy's boxing, Huli and Alexi. The boxing team really looked after me, really working hard with them. Doing all the I was invited to the pro boxing classes. So always doing like technique with the pro guys and, just losing. Anytime sparring, losing, getting beat up, black eyes. I got a broken nose like 3 weeks ago.
But you're planning for the fight. Now I saw the fight. We'll talk about the knockout. I saw that it was a proper like face down, face plant knockout. What was the purpose of that? You're training to kind of put the lens on from the fighter so you could relate to them, or why were you doing that?
It's so many things. So first of all, what you said, I wanted and I will do. So I fought boxing this year. I'm going to fight 2 more times this year is my plan. Fought boxing this year 2 more times is my plan. From a strength coach, from a bodybuilding coach, I can tell fighters what to do. I can help them with nutrition, but it's different when I've stood on the other side. I've went through the fire with them. I've been in class with them. I know what they're going through. I know how this feels, The main reason why I wanted to do it was respect. I wanted to earn more respect from the gym and other members of our community. In addition to that, as a byproduct, I can now understand more and be a better coach because it's not what I think you should do is this. It's when I was fighting, I tried this. For you, this might work, but what I found was this. How about we try X and we move forward with Y? And that was my perspective. Similarly, just say when in Rome, when in Phuket.
Yeah.
I'm in the fighting capital of Southeast Asia. I'm in a very unique position, Why not? Let's just have a go.
Yeah, and you're still young. You're 30. It's not like, maybe it's something you don't want to cross that bridge when you're 40 because it could lead to a serious injury.
Yeah, exactly. So many factors go into let's do it. But ultimately, I wanted more respect. I wanted a better understanding of how I could help these athletes. And it paid off instantly.
Oh, talking about the fighting. So let's go back to building it up to your fight now. I saw that was at Tiger. Is that the BBQ Bash type of thing?
Yeah, it's barbecue beatdown at Tiger.
Okay,
yeah,
so
at the end of every month.
Was that a boxing match or an MMA match?
That was a boxing match. So in my head, I wanted to do a boxing match, and then in the next couple of months, I'm going to do a Muay Thai fight, and then in a few months, I'm going to do an MMA fight. That was my goal. Yeah.
What was the initial build up to that boxing match? I mean, were you boxing a friend? Do you know the guy? How did that all come together?
Oh man, so the build up was me getting beat up by a load of professional fighters for months on end. Losing pretty much, I think I'd done about 130 rounds of sparring in 3 months of like Wednesdays and Fridays. Additionally, obviously, I had to lose another 10 kilos or so to do that. I had to fix the diet and fix the cardio. And I was a big guy, which meant I had a lot of power. As a bodybuilder, I was quite mobile, but I never had any cardio at all. So basically limited all the strength stuff because I knew that strength would have carried. I know I would have had power coming down the weight classes, right? It's pretty common. I didn't predict what was going to happen, but there you go. So I was just like cardio, mobility, and more than anything, skills. I needed to do as much skill-based training as possible in order to just feel like kind of adequate. So the build-up to it was pretty ruthless. About 10 days before the fight, I got told that there's no fight, wasn't going to happen. So we had one of my friends, he was DJing in Illusion, Salado. I go out with him, we have a bit of a messy night. I come in, I miss sparring for the first time in months. Monday, come into the gym, it's like 4 days later, this was a Thursday, Friday missed. They were like, we've got to fight, and I'm like, fuck. Okay, I got to fight. So we get a guy, at that point I dieted myself down to like 75 kilos. Coach Hooley and Coach Alexei, they were like, Coach, I'm skinny. I'm 23 kilos down at this point. They're like, Coach, what are you doing? I was like, I wanted to go through a full weight cut and a water cut to know what it felt like for all the fighters that I was going through. They got to a point where it's like, okay, point proven. We found someone to fight you. He's 9 kilos heavier than you. You need to gain some weight. And I'm like, I can do that. No problem. No problem.
That's the easy part.
No problem. So I spend like the majority of that week trying to get my body right. And you know, this guy was called Alexander. Nice guy. I think he'd been in the gym sparring a few times. I think he was there when I wasn't there, and that's why they found it. You know, super respectful for the guy to come in. Really nice guy. We got there. We had our fight, yeah.
You got the knockout.
Yeah. Knockout.
What does it feel like after that? I mean, also coming from the coaching side, it's immediate joy, the adrenaline explosion, but does there also the flip side of the emotion of how is he?
Yeah, I'd never experienced that, right? So first of all, I had like 200 people there cheering my name, man. Thank you so much. You know, it's something that's like meant so much to me. The fighters, everyone, it was a real special moment in my life, you know. I get to that point to get to the ring, nerves going, shaking, all this. Adrenaline pumps through. We get into the exchanges. You know, I'm very fortunate that I get the KO finish. After it, I was fully cooked of emotion, all this. I think it's normal. I can sort of say two things here. I competed in bodybuilding 15 times. I only won once, but I finished on a podium multiple times. The feeling of knocking someone out and getting a win is incomparable to anything, especially when you've got the atmosphere in the room and all of this. So definitely something I'll never forget. There was another point, but it's just left my brain.
Yeah, well, I mean, at the same side, the flip side, after, once that adrenaline's gone and it wears off okay, is this guy okay? Is everything fine?
Yeah, there was a moment, man. I looked over and I seen him, and I had all the joyous of everyone in my corner because I'm coach at Tiger. I just went over and had a little minute after when they're in the background. It was just like, I could see, you know, it's not nice to do that to someone. I'm not really a bad person at heart. At the end of the day, it's a dog-eat-dog world. It was him or me, and I get that. So, you know, it's primal, right? That being said, man, I couldn't help my emotion after that. I felt sad. I felt mean, you know? I felt mean, but again, dog-eat-dog world. It was going to be him or me.
I'm friends with Sean Kober. He had his MMA fight, and he said the same thing after. He did it to, again, you know, to connect to his fighters, to understand his fighters. And he's like, I'll just do one fight. But the last time I brought him on, he got his win. He's like, I want more of that. And there's a feeling of being involved on actually competing and winning where, like you said, it's an emotion that you want to chase. Next, you're getting the Muay Thai. What's going on? What's going on through you mentally preparing for that?
You know what? Like, I'll spar Muay Thai for the first time in a long time tomorrow. My perspective is just like, look, I have a very, very addictive personality. I become absolutely obsessed in everything that I do. Even now, the last year with like education and stuff, I literally go home, and in the time when my girlfriend's not here, I learn. And it's sort of the same with this. The bodybuilding, why I picked bodybuilding. Look, I got out of jail, I was in a lot of trouble. I picked bodybuilding because I knew it was infinite, right? You can never finish bodybuilding. Same sort of thing here. The difference is, I don't really care about being a professional fighter. I've got no qualms wanting to do that. I grew up in Liverpool, in which I had to fight every other week, you know. I was fighting to get out of something, or I was fighting to keep my position somewhere. And Liverpool was like that, you know. My nose was all crooked until a few years ago. So, although I get that fire, although I get the hunger to do it, I'll probably continue to move forward. Definitely going to have a Muay Thai fight, get fully involved, fully immersed in it. Come away, I need to learn a lot of wrestling and BJJ. So my thing was like hands, then hands and feet, and then everything, right? But yeah, you know, I'd say this, I got a knockout. I didn't just, I'm going to be a bit bitter here, but it is what it is. I didn't just hold some lad down for 15 minutes and say I got a big, massive win. The knockout was a big thing, but I'm also happy to be like, I'm okay, I'm done. You know, I can move forward with this and just focus on what I really need to focus on myself. I think when I get these fights out the way, I have a better understanding as a coach. And you said it right, man. I'm in the prime. I'm just turned 30. If I want to do it, I can. But I'm trying to like pull back and be like, no, do 1, 1, 1, and then chill there, you know?
Yeah, and then you get 3 schools of thought there. You get boxing, Muay Thai, and MMA. So that when you become the coach of these people, you can relate to them all because they're all different sports. There's different footwork, there's different pace, there's different distance control. Everyone's completely different. So if you were to just do MMA, that might, you're missing out on the whole school of thought of how can I connect to the boxer. Yeah. So I think, yeah, it's wise to do it that way. You're going to be connecting on different levels. I think out of all of them, is there fear in any of them? For me personally, it'd be the Muay Thai, just because if you're bringing in the elbows, if it's an experienced Muay Thai fighter, which I'm assuming they won't give you some guy with 300 fights, but still, when you're Muay Thai, you know, it's 8. Now you're getting into, what is it? It's 7 limbs, 8. I think 8 limbs.
8 limbs.
Yeah, something like that. Now it's a whole different story. Especially, there's a whole different level of technique.
Yeah, different level. Look, as an athletic person who's got a good cardio background, is strong, is mobile, I don't stand a chance with some of these guys. No chance on earth. And I know that. They know that. Is the fear? Always fear. That's why I'm doing it. It's the fear drives me forward. If it doesn't scare me, then why the fuck am I doing it? If it scares me, run towards it. Go through it. Run through hell. Put your head through it. And see what comes of it, you know? Oh, I know what I signed up for. If I get a broken nose, broken something, then that's on me, you know? But where I'm from, there's no backward steps, you know? You start walking away, people are going to fill that space. I'd rather stand there and, you know, if I get my ass handed to me, then I get my ass handed to me. But what I will say is, just before the other fight, I'm literally getting beat up by like Brendan and these type of people, sparring them frequently. I know that if you're sparring regularly and training regularly with the level 10 bosses, think about it like on Mario, right? You're on Mario Kart, you're playing with all the bosses on level 10. You have no right to be playing with them. But I know I'm in respect trying to be there. That also means that when I come back to the level that I am actually at, there's a difference. Because what's coming back is very different. And with respect, I believe that was the difference in me being able to win that fight. And I think moving forward, I get knocked out, I get anything, I know what I signed up for, right?
Well, we'll have to do another podcast after the Muay Thai fight as well, and see how
black eyes, broken nose. Yeah, sock die.
Yeah, it's for I think for the Muay Thai side, it's more the elbows that are terrifying. Yeah, these things just fucking.
Yeah, it just like that. Even now, as I'm talking to you, the thought of it and the fear of it, but that's what drives me forward, man. It really does.
Let's, on a final note, and I think we skipped this part, and I know we might get that in the comments. Talking more on the diet side, you're counting calories, carbs, you're counting your macros, essentially.
Yeah.
When you're trying to lose that weight, not cutting weight, you're trying to lose that 20 plus kg.
Yeah.
What was your diet in terms of macros and calories? What were you tracking every day? And walk us through your meals. Was it 1, 2, 3? Let us know exactly what was that.
So bodybuilding diet, and I basically just done a 6 months of dieting down, and I had one phase where I was a bodybuilder and then left that life and converted overnight and then done a whole different phase of fighting. I want to talk more to the fighting and how I lost the last 12 kilos without anything at all, because I think that's the most important. What my lifestyle looks like now is that I basically don't have any solid food up until around 1 p.m. So I'll start my day at like 6, 7 a.m. at the moment, for the last few months. I'll get up, I'll do what I need to. So I'm always drinking water first thing in the morning. Always having some cordyceps, really, really important for me. And especially early on, cordyceps is like, it's almost like a cup of coffee, right? I really feel that. Cordyceps, lion mane, multivitamin, these type of things. And then I get on with my morning water. Americanos maybe sometimes. Coach Mike and I get coffees for each other every single day. So yeah, it would look like that. I would do a few hours coaching in the morning, do a boxing class, and then normally around 12 I'd have my breakfast. So my breakfast, especially early on in the day, I'm trying to get a bit more essential fatty acids in. So I'm trying to get like omegas, I'm trying to get like smoked salmon is a favorite, but also a balance of other fats of eggs and avocado. If I'm being more strict, I'll limit the carbs there. If I need to lose a bit more, I'll limit the carbs. If I'm going to spar late to the afternoon or I need that energy for something else, then I'm going to add some oats and I'm going to add some fruit to that as well. Just understanding that now from the fighting perspective, protein and carbs and all this, it's definitely relevant, but it's not as anal as the bodybuilding, right? Bodybuilding is like every hour on the hour I'm eating something. Now I can be a little bit more open and make sure I recover from the training prior, but fuel what's ahead. That's just vital. So I'd have around late morning, early afternoon, my breakfast. Normally go back to the gym for a couple of hours, do some coaching, nutrition coaching, consultations, these type of things. Then I'll train in the afternoon, 5, 6 p.m. Normally before that, I'm having some supplements again. So depending on what I'm doing on that day, it's always going to be different. The more advanced you are with this, the more this is going to change day to day.
Like your calciums, your magnesiums,
all of this,
all the essential vitamins.
Yeah, even like what I'll have pre-workout as well, that'll change. Jellies, stuff like this. Like a lot of people think health, but what fighters don't understand sometimes is that like they need the sugar to go and perform, especially when they're in a deficit and especially when they've got a hard sparring and stuff. There's this level that I really do understand before I get into the skill space, and I believe this is why I've been able to learn quite quickly when it comes to this type of stuff. So I finish, and then 7 p.m. finish, and then in the evening I'm eating to enjoy, and I'm eating to feel full. The reason being is I'm wearing a Whoop watch. You can wear like Apple Watches. I am literally burning 4,000 to 5,000 calories a day, and I've always known this for quite some time. In recent months, this has confirmed it for me. Not everyone can do this because of how active I am, because of how animated I am, how much energy I give and stuff. I can eat a bit more. I can eat a lot more compared to the average person, but I'm more specific in what I give it because, again, every time I eat, it's fixing what I just done and it's fueling what I'm about to do. So what I like to do, okay, and this is good education for any athletes, this is good education for any hobbyists who are going to the gym. First of all, over the first few weeks, I like to find a baseline of calories, okay? Then I like to go into like a red day, an amber day, and a green day. This is a little bit more advanced. So what I like to do is, especially from the athlete's perspective as well, 2 days a week, we're going to eat. Let's say our maintenance calories is 2,500. 2 days a week, we're going to redline the body, okay? So maybe like a Tuesday and a Friday, sparring days. You do some S&C in the morning, some stretching, and then it's hard sparring, okay? Redline the body, okay? More expenditure requires more fuel. okay? We fuel the session, we fuel the recovery, and we make sure on them day, although the red days, being an 80-90% all-out work, we're giving 3,000 calories into the body. That means that 3 days a week, like a Monday, a Thursday, and a Saturday, what are we going to do? We're going to have amber days. 70 to 80% work, give or take. You're doing some skills-based training, you're learning some BJJ, and maybe you're doing wrestling, maybe you're doing more skills-based if it's a boxer, it depends. Those days, again, you should be learning, you should be moving forward, but they're going to prime you for the red days. Then maybe like a Sunday and a Wednesday, we have what we call a green day, okay? We pull the calories back. We change what's happening. We increase fat intake, okay? We decrease carbohydrate intake. We really focus on decreasing inflammation in the body and really fueling that recovery. So that means that when it's time to go higher carb, we're what we call metabolically flexible. So now on the big days, we can perform a lot harder, but then on the rest days that we can obviously recover more. More recovery equals better training. In my opinion, it should be 2 parts recovery for every 1 part of training. If people can get this and start to understand it moving forward, they can not only fuel the sessions better, they can also fuel the recovery, but also this helps athletes stay on top of body composition. There was one girl I mentioned, her name's Kirsty, she's worked with me, she met me here in Tiger. She's lost 18 kilos. She started off with me, she was working online. When she left, we started off on baseline calories. She was doing some fitness. We then stepped it up to 2-day split, A-B split. Recent months, we've stepped it all the way up to 3-day split. So she's, the last 6 weeks or so. In a year, she's knocked 10 minutes off of a 10K. She's knocked 7 minutes off of a 5K. She's 18 kilos down, best condition she's ever been in. And it's all following these principles, you know. Go back to what I said at the start. You can only manage what you measure. You know, if you measure everything and you are relentless with this, or you find someone who can do that for you, your ability to progress is exponential. Yeah,
so it's not a copy and paste answer to I take this much protein, carbs, and fat every day. It's really dependent on the training regimen. It has to be customized and to you.
Yeah.
On your red line days, like in terms of grams of carbs, what are you taking in? Like 150, 200? I mean, that's high still. Less. Oh, you're getting up to 3. Shit. 500 grams of carbs.
Around 350 to 500. Ooh. Yeah. Just look, at that point, got to understand, like, 1 gram of protein, 4 calories. 1 gram of carb, 4 calories. 1 gram of fat, 9 calories, right? So it's that distribution. On the hike, what we're always going to have is protein is going to be linear, okay? We're going to keep it the same. It's going to be around the same. If I expend more, I do have a bit more protein. But what really fluctuates is the carbs and fats. When I'm not resting, so carbs are deemed what we call a non-essential macronutrient, okay? We don't need them, okay? But what we can use is use carbs for performance and also for lifestyle, emotional satisfaction, parties. Everyone loves cake, right? So you just got to understand that if it's not essential, guess what? We don't need it, but we can use it to fuel things. It's also understanding that what I said before is the fats are going to really help with essential fatty acids are going to help with inflammation. It's also going to help with hormones, better sleep, and these type of things. That can be overlooked. So you find the balance there is like when my carbs go high, my fats go low. So I'm eating like 50 grams of fat one day, not so much, but like 400 grams of carbs. But my carbs are fueling me to go and, I'd like to say beat someone up, but it's not always getting beat up by someone, right? I'm never really winning.
It's the glycogen. This is what you're burning.
Yeah, I'm fueling that.
400, that's a lot of potato.
Yeah, it's also what I said before, you know, especially in the fight world, you don't always have to eat healthy, you know. You can get away with eating jellies and ice cream because glycogen, especially like some of these guys, some of these athletes, they're doing so much through the day and they don't understand or see is that like that sugar is going to fuel this next session and it's basically vital for them. What I've noticed in recent months of educating athletes on this is I'll say to them, do this before sparring, then do this. I'll go watch the athlete spar, but I keep my mouth shut. I stay in my lane. I'm a fitness coach. I'll then speak to them after it. Round 2, how are you feeling between rounds? I feel better. I feel like I had more energy. I feel like this. Okay, do this. Next time we need to add more. We need to, person to person, that's different. But it's just really understanding is like on them high days, carbs are high, fats are low. But then the moderate day, everything's even out, and then boom, it changes.
Yeah, I've seen there's a fitness trainer, Jeff Nippard. I was following his program years ago. He does full body workouts, and then one day he chooses that muscle. So let's say it's a chest day. It's like, yeah, you do bench heavy, but then you kind of like supplement it with other stuff. But the one thing he said, it's the same thing, that he will eat a Snickers bar halfway through the workout.
Yeah.
He's like, you can eat this right now, because like that's the energy. And at the end of the day, your body doesn't really know the difference between sugars. It's still just a glucose sugar molecule.
Yeah.
So whether it's now obviously it's processed, so it's definitely not as good for you, which can lead to inflammation.
Yeah.
But you're still, whether you're eating a banana or a Snickers bar, if you understand how many grams of carbs are in that, you're still burning it.
Yeah. Well, like, perspective there is, I personally wouldn't eat a Snicker just because we don't need fats in the body around training at that point. That's like a personal thing. That being said, everyone's a little bit different. They've got their perspective. I like to go like straight up sugar, like sour jellies, because this is just goes in, it goes straight to the fuel.
Some Haribos.
Yeah, exactly. What will happen is, especially around training, educating any athlete or anyone who's trying to get the most from training, the fats are going to slow down the digestion of the protein and carbs. Now, while you're training, the most essential thing, okay, you're going to diminish proteins, you're going to rip that muscle apart, but also diminish glycogen in the liver and in the muscle. These are the most important things to get back in to either refuel or fuel what's going to come next. And yeah, that's like person to person, very different. But that's what I like to do. I like to, when I'm around training, carbohydrates are high. That all being said, if I'm doing fat loss, completely different. We're talking right now about athlete and how I'm working. If my goal is fat loss, I'm going to be changing that a little bit more individually. I just don't want people to get a misconception there, right?
The goal is fat loss, you're reducing fat.
Yeah, if my goal is fat loss, what I'm trying to do is shrink my fat cells. So what does that mean? For every fat cell, right, there's two ways inside of one cell, okay? And there's one way out. So let's picture like this was a room, for instance, right? Me and you are huddled up in this room, right? Because that fat cell is now swollen because we've been putting too much in. These two doorways have been overloaded with people coming in, right? It's like, okay, we want some more room. What do we need to do? What we need to do is we need to stop the people coming in this room and start to shuttle these two doors and start to shuttle them out, the door over there. And although can be like a bit of a painfully slow process, because it's much easier to get these two to come in than it is to get them out. What will happen is over time is if we let one person out, stop, we get more room inside of this fat cell. This is my analogy of fat loss. And the more room that we can have inside of that cell, the more metabolically flexible we become over time. And it's not you are what you eat, right? It's you are what your body does with what you eat. Me and the person next to me can go to McDonald's in a minute and order a burger. I guarantee that my body and someone else's body is going to process it completely different. And that's when it really becomes holistic, when it comes to fat loss, when it comes to working with an athlete, or when it comes to working with a specific individual.
Yeah, I found for me, fat loss, it's pretty basic. I just go 1,500 calories, low fat as possible, low carbs, high protein. Yeah. Almost carnivore, but not really. That works for me. I don't know. But to be honest, like, if I'm not eating carbs, I kind of want to kill myself too. It's so difficult. Look,
I have also, guys, and I think what my approach is a well-rounded, balanced approach. Like, we are going to get emotional satisfaction from these foods. So there's a famous book called The Chimp Paradox. Strongly recommend listening and reading to The Chimp Paradox. Guys, I can't read. I'm dyslexic. I'll listen to everything. Yeah, I'll listen and then I'll take notes. So the Chimp Paradox, what I'm getting at there is the guy who narrates the book, who says the book, what he does is it talks about the irrational side of the brain, which is the chimp, and the irrational side of the brain, which is the chimp, and the rational side, the logical side. The logical side of your brain wants you to get up in the morning, go to work, make sure everything's in, and have a good life and move forward. The irrational side of your brain wants you to relax in bed in the morning, have pancakes for breakfast, go out on the weekend, I
like that guy.
Now, what you've got here is the balance. What people don't realize is that the irrational side of the brain is much stronger than the rational side of the brain. In order to keep both in line, what we need to do is feed it bananas. In my will, what I like to do is maybe on that Wednesday or maybe on that Sunday when I'm having a green day, when I'm having a bit more of a chill, I like to enjoy a bit of food, okay? I like to have maybe a snack or something, because what I'm doing is I'm keeping that irrational side at bay, okay? I spoke last time on the podcast talking about doing stuff in seasons. So I'll work for 12 weeks and then I'll have a month off. I'll go crazy in the month off. I'll enjoy it. Then I'll work for another 12 weeks. I can do that on repeat. Why? Because my logical and my irrational side of my brain, they both agree that although we're working hard now, there's a little banana at the end, right? So over time, especially with working with people, I get to know their vices, right? I get to know what their trigger is. And then I say to them, like, for me, I like a bit of chocolate. So normally around the leg day or when I'm working a bit harder, I'll have some chocolate there. And then on Sunday, I'll probably enjoy a roast dinner. And that's my thing. If I can have these each week, one midway through the week, one at the end of the week, I know that the other few days I can work hard because I know that both sides of my brain agree with where we're trying to go, what we're trying to achieve.
That's the discipline there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
got none of that.
That's something that's 10 years of doing it. I was not disciplined. Yeah, younger I was not disciplined. And I'd like to think that I've acquired that being out here and being around these people.
Yeah, I said being around the professional athletes. I went to dinner the other night with professional athletes, and I had a couple beers, and the social media guy beside me had one, but everyone else there, and the manager, he wasn't drinking, but anyways, everyone else there, no beer,
yeah.
I'm like, and they train tomorrow, but they're not even in competition now.
Yeah,
I'm like, they're so dialed in.
Yeah,
like I wouldn't be able to. It's a little bit. I think that's when your life, like that discipline, that they're so focused. And I look at them like, fuck, man, how can you do that?
Yeah, you are what you surround yourself with, right?
Yeah.
I got all these elite guys around me, all these elite mentality. I mentioned my mentor, friend, coach Alex. All these elite, yeah. And for me, I grew up in a very poor environment in a working class city where baby's born, we drink, we get married, we drink, it's our birthday, we drink, it's Christmas, we drink, we get divorced, we drink, we're happy, we drink, we're sad, we drink. This was something that I struggled to move away from, and it's also something that I understand it's a part of who I am, so I need to give little bananas over time. I do have once a month, I have a party once every few months. That being said, because everyone else is out here is doing it, it's easier for me to fall in line. And it's like, you become what you surround yourself with. I recently had a family and a load of people over from Liverpool. And I said to my mum, I was like, all your association with fighter, with alcohol and stuff, now for me is completely different. And it's kind of difficult, man. When I go back and I see everyone partying and stuff, I can join in because I know I'm only going to be there for a small amount of time. But I instantly, I just feel like I've got to get out.
It's easy to get back on track.
Yeah.
But you also know the repercussions of drinking in Thailand. You lose 3-4 days. And if you have such structure, I call it you're just every day, maybe you have 4 things to do. It could be I have this podcast, maybe I have a Thai lesson, maybe I want to go golfing, maybe I want to eat well and I go to the gym. We'll call them 5 things. If I tick all those boxes, that's 5 wins. To be honest, if I go 3 or 4, that's a win.
Yeah.
But when you go out the night before, you're going to get fucking 0. You're going to go out, now you have a cigarette because you had a beer. Then you're going to go home, and now you're going to eat a kebab because it's there. Then you're going to wake up in the morning, and you don't want healthy food. You're fat. Your body craves fat, so now you're ordering a cheese sandwich. And now you're hungover, I'm going to have another beer. Yeah. And that takes 2 days, and then you get out of it. But the structure of, let's say, falling off the rails for 1 day every month, you know exactly how to get back on track and all these little boxes you need to tick that give you that satisfaction.
Yeah, I think it's the knock-on effect, right? You go out at Saturday, in my world, I come home at 6 o'clock the next day. It's all in or not at all, especially with the Scouse mentality. We partied like lunatics. We're known in Europe and in England for partying. And at one point in my life, that was all I was known for. So people have one drink. Nah, fuck that. If I drink, I'm fucking out until the next day. Yeah. So I got to balance that. That being said, it's that knock-on effect one way and also the knock-on effect the other way. You take one analogy there. You wake up after a night out, everything you said. The other thing is you go to sleep at 10 p.m. on a Saturday. You wake up fresh. You watch UFC Sunday morning. You go for a sauna. You go for a massage. You go for a beach walk. The knock-on effects, the reverse. I think the catch, what I've realized out here in Thailand is that when you get momentum and the sun, the therapy of Thailand itself, the beach, the massages, the saunas, the lifestyle. When you get 4, 5, 6 weeks and you realize how much momentum swings that way, exactly as you said, 1 day equals 4 days off for me. But them weeks, that all mounts up. And for me, it's always painting that bigger picture.
But everyone's aligned. I mean, the people have the same mentality, so you're not going to have as much pressure at the gym of, hey, coach, let's go have a beer, because they all want to get up tomorrow morning too. Yeah. There's not that much out there. And also, what I find now is like, that's why I'm golfing, because I'll get up at 4:35 and tee off at 6. Yeah. I did 18 holes, and I'm home. I'm working at 8:30.
Yeah.
But what happens is, by 9 o'clock at night, I don't have a single energy to even think to go to the bar, because I'm like on the couch. I can't even watch TV for 2 minutes. I'm out.
Yeah.
So when you get up so early and you do so much in your day, by 8, 9, your brain can't even think about. So if your buddy calls you and says, hey, let's go have a drink, I'm like, I wouldn't be able to. I don't have any energy to do that. And then that becomes kind of the routine, which is great.
Yeah.
Like, I'll go to bed on a Friday, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. But I'll wake up Saturday morning and be golfing at 5:30, come home, have breakfast. Then I have a whole day. You feel fucking awesome.
I think that's exactly it, man. It's that feeling. Amazing thing is the sun rises and sets all about the same time.
Yeah.
In relation to what you said, I have a lot of responsibility. You know, I got the whole... In addition to like the weight loss, the team, the schedule, the fighters, and all of this, I got a lot of people that rely on me. And it's just like, look, if I do this, I'm shit. And you rely on me, so I can't be shit. Whether a fighter needs me to help me, no. Be better at knocking someone out. Whether a fat loss customer needs me, whether someone's insecure, I need to be there to bring energy for other people. And that's the most important thing. And that kind of is my, like, when all my friends are out and that, I'm like, I've got to be here at 6 o'clock in the morning. And I use it as a...
Yeah, and those guys, they need 100% of your attention. They don't need 50%, where you might be rolling in there like, just getting through it. Yeah. Okay, before we wrap this up, we probably did a long podcast. That's all good. Let's jump back. We were talking a little bit about your supplement regime and you know what you're taking. You're obviously taking the Lion's Mane, the cordyceps. Talk a little bit so we can explain that to the athletes. These products are new, especially for sports, because they're legal. They're FDA approved. There's no problems with them. In terms of taking Lion's Mane and cordyceps, just talk a little bit about that, how that's helped you.
Yeah, so I can relate in multiple ways. So first of all, from an athlete perspective, cordyceps. Cordyceps, again, I used this before. It's like I've had a cup of coffee without having that cup of coffee. It's just that extra kick, right? I'll use the cordyceps pretty much every morning. I got to be careful. I said this earlier, right? If I have 2 cordyceps, it does feel like I've had a line of coke or something. I'm way too much energized. I think you can feel from this video, I've already got too much. So I got to be careful with that. The cordyceps, though, my performance, my ability to last longer while I'm performing is better. The strange things that I love with the Lion's Mane is that my ability to recall information, my ability to, especially if I've done a session one-to-one or a physical session here, I can then go coach class and I can have 80 people of different languages in front of me. My ability to pick stuff out of my brain and give different analogies in class is tremendously better. And I think when you put these 2 supplements together, cordyceps and Lion's Mane, it's like I'm thinking better and I'm moving harder for longer. And when you put them together, it really, really does show. I feel it like, I know I've mentioned a few athletes on here who've used it as well. You know, your decision making is better. You snap faster, quicker decision making. Everything, it's just kind of like there. That's the only way.
There's that synergy to it.
Yeah, for me, I think it's people like that limitless pill, right? Take it. Oh, what's happening? No, it takes a few weeks. The cordyceps, that hits there and then.
Right away.
And there and then. That's what. But it took me about 2 to 4 weeks or so, 2 to 3 weeks, I think it took for me to understand the Lion's Mane. And then it like stays with you, right? It's an amazing feeling. It's like when you get used to it and how that's working with it, you can almost work with the supplement. So first of all, I used them for the last 6 months of my life. I used them in the bodybuilding, and then I come off them for 30 days, and then I used them as basically one of the only supplements for the last 4 months. And You know, my coaching, my ability coaching, my confidence coaching has increased. My ability to absorb information, but then also recall information is better. And just distribution of energy throughout the day. As I mentioned before, I'm not eating much in the morning, so the cordyceps just gives me that little bit more of a budge, right?
Yeah, and it kind of has a longer burn. Instead of a coffee, it just spikes quick, and then you can crash. I find cordyceps, if I take it early, I take it with coffee because I like that spike. And then the cordyceps kind of, I ride it out.
That's the ADHD.
But yeah, for me, otherwise I'm all over the place. But a lot of the fighters, like I saw Fabricio was taking it, Felipe Lobo was taking it. And I got a lot of Muay Thai fighters at Bang Tao taking it. And they're specifically saying it's just helps them get through the second workout of the day where they're already kind of burnt out a bit.
Yeah, and look, a lot of people out here, certainly hobbyists as well, you know, the heat's going to be a factor. Fatigue is going to come into play, certainly after the first few days. So it's just knowing that this can help you think better and also move better, harder for longer, right? It's like sometimes we can overlook the simplicity and what it's trying to do. And if you know, it's the placebo effect works in there as well. If you put that in, knowing all this stuff, guess what's going to happen? Yeah. It's going to work better, right? So,
well, we'll end on that positive mushroom note. We're doing the product. It's not so much a plug as it's actually being able to talk about the product. It's challenging to have that discussion with people that haven't taken it. The product's still quite new to Thailand and the world, but I truly believe that mushrooms have a big part in the supplement game that's still unknown.
Yeah, it's certainly a new thing that's coming in, but you know, the amount of people who are using it, especially higher end athletes who are using it, the value is there, man. People love these supplements.
Okay, that ends another episode of the Fruiting Body Podcast. Don't forget to like, subscribe. Let us know in the comments what you thought of his entire weight loss regimen. We're going to love to hear from you guys. Obviously, he'll be back for a third appearance, probably after his Muay Thai fight, so we can go into that. Hopefully, he's got a clean face, no cuts, no scars.
We'll see.
Okay, thanks a lot for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me again, man. It's been an absolute pleasure, Brendan.
Cheers, buddy.
Thanks, man.